All right, what we're doing is we're telling today the story of Boomtown Dunnellon. What folks don't realize is that this area has experienced numerous overlapping booms and busts. Dunnellon started before the discovery of phosphate. It was founded in 1887 by real estate and railroad developers. The same folks that founded Dunnellon founded also at about the same time the SSO&G Railroad, Bellevue, and Homosassa. So they founded all three towns, and the railroad ran the railroad through them, so it was mutually beneficial to their business practices. Now, John Dunn, the principal founder of Dunnellon, was considered to be a very ethical businessman at his time, and which is all relative. One of the interesting things about Homosassa is, and I've lived there, I'm pretty familiar with it, Homosassa itself has a lot of issues with surveys. Every property in downtown Homosassa has basically two surveys. There was a second survey done that actually identifies where the property is at. I knew someone that had a house that was on two separate lots, and they only owned one of them. Some places in downtown Homosassa, people own a piece of property, and they own property on the other side of the road in the neighbor's yard. Also in downtown Homosassa, there are many platted roads that run out through the swamp. They have no roads, they're only on the map. We're still to this day sorting out the platting of the lots that they platted out and sold, and I've owned lots that didn't have a road to them that are typically borderline swampland over time. John Dunn and his associates platted Dunnellon in 1887. There was very little built in the town itself. There was two railroad depots, one close to the present-day Chamber of Commerce, another depot in South Dunnellon on what is now the east side of Highway 41 across the bridge. There was one boarding house built, the Renfro House. One of the principal characters in early Dunnellon was John Renfro. He built a boarding house that is still standing, but it's not in its original location. It had to be moved when the road was widened, or actually it was moved when the Dunnellon Hotel was built in 1903 that stood in the middle of what is now the main intersection of town. The Dunnellon has had so many changes over time that it's unrecognizable unless you have a guide to explain it to you. The boom of 1889 with the discovery of phosphate, the town grew from a population of probably about 50 residents to a year later, as the mines opened up, it would be not unusual for 50 laborers a day to arrive at the depot looking for work. I've been told and believed to be true that at one time the Dunnellon Holder area had a higher population than the Miami area of that era. Wasn't much in Miami, and Dunnellon was really a booming boomtown. Mine workers came on weekends. When the mines closed at 5 o'clock, the workers would come from every point of the compass to do their shopping in Dunnellon. The weekends in Dunnellon were rowdy, violent, almost unimaginable in today's world. One of the shopkeepers of that era that had a shop in Dunnellon wrote the first-hand account of it. It's called Gator, Skeeters, and Mallory by Judge E.C. May. He later became a county judge and a member of our House of Representatives. He writes of running his shop on the weekends. He would open at 5 o'clock on Friday, and he would serve his customers until the last one was served. There would be so many men come in from the surrounding mines everyone was armed all the time with revolvers or with repeating rifles or both. It was such a violent and chaotic time. The workers would come in, they would visit his business, and because he could only serve one at a time, they would line up the repeating rifles against the wall and sleep until it was their time. And they held their place in line by lining up the repeating rifles on the wall outside. They would stay open continuously through the night, and into the next day until they ran out of product to sell or until they woke up the last customer. The town was so violent that it was not unusual for there to be gunfights and stabbings on the weekends, and they would take a wagon around on Sunday mornings and pick up any bodies that were left from the events of the night before. The folks that visit the Boomtown celebration don't realize that Pennsylvania Avenue, where the celebration is held now, was actually the dividing line between the workers' area, brothels and bars, and the respectful area where the wealthy white folks lived. Pennsylvania Avenue at that time was just a sand path. They referred to it as the bicycle path. Respectable ladies did not cross the bicycle path to go into the area where the bars and brothels were. I suspect now that people could go to the Boomtown Festival and walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and not be able to accurately guess which side was the rich people, the folks that ran the mines and the merchants, and which side was at that time workers' cabins that had outhouses, no paved streets, no utilities of any type. It was really a no man's land of bars, brothels, workers' cabins. There was a turpentine still and a sawmill, very industrial type setting, and it was set apart from the nice part of town by Pennsylvania Avenue. I know which is which, but I would be curious. I bet if you went and asked people at Boomtown Days, only half of them would get it right, because it's really a 50-50 thing. You can't tell today. Now, the Boomtown of Dunnellon, it was just not all one rip-roaring free-for-all of prosperity. There was actually several booms and busts within that. It was very fortunate timing for the locals over the entire area economically that Alberta Spots, quote-unquote, discovered phosphate in 1889. In 1894 and 1895, they had back-to-back devastating freezes that destroyed the citrus industry, which was the main industry at that time. So the phosphate mining industry made up for, replaced, and exceeded the prosperity created by the citrus industry, which all was gone and has never completely recovered. After the freeze of 1894 and 1895, the citrus industry moved further south. Very few folks realize that Marion County was once the center of the citrus industry, and several of the citrus types that we have now, several of the different citrus trees that we have now originated in Marion County. I need to do another film on the Parson Brown orange, because that's a cool story. And also the pineapple orange came from Orange Lake. Two of the really well-known early orange types came from Marion County. That was lost in 1894-95. The groves extended the length of the Rainbow River from KP Hole on down was mostly citrus groves, are all destroyed at one time. Part of the economic losses from the citrus freeze coincided with a downturn in the price of phosphate, which led to a great economic panic of 1897. A lot of the financiers that brought the railroad to Dunnellon and founded the town and founded the Dunnellon Phosphate Company, one of the two first phosphate companies. They failed. The Merchants National Bank failed, as did many of the phosphate mining companies in 1897. It did come back later, and the Boomtown continued until the beginning of World War I, when the hard rock mining industry essentially collapsed in 1914 at the beginning of World War I. But within that, there were several crashes when the industry went to zero. The mines shut down, fortunes were lost, only for the mines to reopen when the prices recovered, and we did it over and over again.